We're going to win, Sam. I'm more confident about this game than I was about Mexico.
Messi will win it. One moment of magic.
Big moments, he's got them right, and that's what he's been employed to do.
Every time he's turned up for a tournament, he's been brilliant for England.
If the MLS wants to be competing with some of the biggest leagues and wants to be one of the biggest leagues, then it has to be in the same market.
England are in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. They take on Norway. So we've got a bumper edition of the Inside Channel. Inside knowledge from Joe Hart, David Seaman and Dean Smith. This is the Inside Channel. I'm Sam Adderface. He's Alex Crook. Let's crack on. And not only is Alex Crook in New York, but Joe Hart is joining us for the podcast as well. Morning, Joe. You okay?
Morning, gents. What's going on?
Yeah, we're very excited about this World Cup quarter-final. We've got Dean Smith, and a little bit later on we're also going to hear from David Seaman as well. But first of all, let's get right into the meat and bones of England against Norway. We'll talk the other quarter-finals a little bit later in the programme. But let's just start with England versus Norway. England versus Norway in the World Cup quarter-final for a place in the last four in the heat of Miami. Joe, how exciting is it that England are playing in this game, one? And are you surprised that it's Norway and not Brazil that England are facing?
I'm so excited for them. Honestly, the grind that they've been through to get to where they are, it's not been perfect, but I don't think England have ever claimed to be perfect. This group's not claimed to be perfect. That night in the Azteca, I don't know about you, but even from back home, I felt so connected to those boys in how the game unfolded. I felt like it unfolded fairly. I didn't have any problem with any decisions that were made that night. But I love how Thomas Tuchel made that decision. He made it early, raised a lot of eyebrows in terms of just going, do you know what? Let's just lock up and see what happens. But they did it with such ease. They were just, it was like everyone went back to their core kind of strength and core love of playing for England and just put on the helmets and strapped in and went for it. And I didn't feel like Mexico ever really rocked us. Obviously, Jordan led incredibly from the back. That was his real standout moment in the tournament. And you know, it was never going to be any other way. This is when he comes to the forefront when he's needed. It's hard in those group stages to really shine. It's almost like the group stages of qualifying. As a goalkeeper, you're not really employed, but when he needed to, he stepped up. And unsurprised on it being Norway. I think that glint in Erling Haaland's eyes, I think the way that he's kind of just taken to this tournament, he just looks at home and at peace, and he's made everyone so relaxed around him and so on board that, of course I am, because it's the first time they've ever done it, but I'm not surprised with him in that team.
I've got to say, right, you sound like you were very, very calm on Sunday night. Crookie and I were complete opposite that, right? Me and Crook, we were sitting there. He's got more wild swings of emotion than a pendulum. He's going from England are going to win the World Cup to this is rubbish, we're going out. I'm trying to calm him down. We're exploding with joy every time Dan Burn heads the ball. I mean, how calm were you in comparison to us? Because we were feeling it.
It's different for me, I think, because I don't take it. And this is not a knock on how anyone takes it. I don't take it personally. If England didn't win that game, I don't take it personally because I know what's gone into it. So I really know from like the depths of my heart and the depths of those boys' hearts out there that if it weren't to go their way, it wouldn't be down to lack of effort. It wouldn't be down to lack of preparation. It would just be down to sometimes you fall the wrong side of a difficult result. But I loved and I felt calm in the way that everyone read the script. Everyone got on board with it. Everyone had no interest in themselves whatsoever. Absolutely zero interest in what it was doing to themselves personally, emotionally, physically. They were just all buying into what was needed to get over the line. And once you have that team cohesion, it's a real threat. And the fact that we got the penalty so quickly after going down to 10, I really felt quite comfortable in the end.
And Sam used the word pendulum there and swing of emotion. Does it feel like momentum-wise there could be a pendulum swing now in England's favour? They should be going out in Miami with their chests puffed out. They should believe they can get past Erling Haaland and this Norway team. They should believe they can potentially KO Argentina in a World Cup semi-final and get to a World Cup final.
That's the thing, that they'll believe regardless of what happened the other night, because inside camp, they're so on board with each other. They're so on board with the manager. They're right behind him. And as a group, I know now I'm out of it and we're out of it. You're allowed to like be emotional and have that roller coaster. And that's the whole point in being an England fan or an international fan. We're not alone. Trust me, it happens in all the other countries. But I think inside the camp, it doesn't make a difference how they won that game. They'll still go in believing they can beat Norway. They'll still go in believing whoever wins out of Switzerland and Argentina, they can beat them, because that's what you do. You build yourself into this kind of bulletproof mode. And look, we all know that it's impossible. At some point it comes crashing down. Hopefully it doesn't, but you're just not braced for that. You don't worry about that. Just worry about what's in front of you and how you're going to overcome it.
Talk to me about Thomas Tuchel, because his in-game tactical changes have been pretty impressive so far. How much of an asset is he? And what's that like as a player when you know you've got a manager who can alter the course of a game?
It's a great feeling. Like I say, I love how the boys have interviewed about him. Obviously, it's been a whole lot easier to interview after the Croatia game than the other 3 games. A lot of scrutiny under England, as there always will be in the low block and not finding that early goal. But big moments, he's got them right, and that's what he's been employed to do. Look, he wouldn't have just necessarily known that he could flip a switch in Croatia and they would have won, and flip a switch and go with that defensive line. He's taken those chances too. He's still feeling that emotion. But the fact that he's so calm on the outside, and they can have, I think as a manager, there's nothing better that when you look over, realize they're doing something, and then you see all 11 stroke, however many left are available on the bench, nod, just say not a problem, end of conversation, and do it, is a key part of any management team. And that sounds so simple, but it's not always the case. You can have messages come on from the side, a lot of flapping, a lot of uncertainty, and it's just people wanting to do well. It's not because they don't believe. But as soon as he made those changes and everyone went, this is what we're doing, that conversation's already been had. Being 10 men, being down to 10 men, being in front, being behind, having difficult moments with the referee, all those conversations have been had, and the boys didn't even have to think about it. They went, bang, this is how we're going to do it now. Right, not a problem. Let's do it. And that was great to see, especially in these tournaments when every tiny little bit counts.
You think that could be our cheat card in the later weeks of the tournament? Because you watched that Argentina-Egypt game yesterday, and we asked the question, Sam, watching it in a sports bar in Brooklyn. Would Egypt have got over the line with an elite level manager? And, I don't want to be too critical of their manager, but they're 2-0 up with not long remaining. They end up losing the game in 90 minutes. They're chasing a winner when Argentina break at the other end and score. I don't think that happens under Thomas Tuchel, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, because he showed when he got punched in the nose against Croatia that he didn't step back. He didn't say everyone line up. So he's got both cards to play. He showed obviously the Azteca is almost, his hands were tied, down to 10 men. You're not going to be looking to score a fourth, are you? So he said, let's batten down the hatches. So I think the great thing about the squad that he's got is he's got all options. But I don't think, unless we're down to 10 men, that we're ever going to, especially going into the semi-final, maybe the finals are different. I don't think there's a team out there at the moment who are going to make us go into our shell unless we're really down to a numerical disadvantage. Because as brilliant as Argentina can be in moments, I think there's holes in their play. It's evident. Struggled against Cape Verde. Egypt were exceptional on the counter-attack against them the other night. And probably it's a hindsight conversation, because we would have been saying it was genius if they burst up the other end like they had been, cutting through them and scored the third. But that's the beauty of the World Cup. You live and die by those decisions.
Yeah, and he's already sort of mentioned, hasn't he, Thomas Tuchel, that he wants to play this aggressive front foot Premier League style football. I mean, is that the football that can win you the World Cup?
Well, like I say, he said that, and obviously that's how he feels. But you can't. He's not willing to go out on his sword. Just say that's how I'm playing, regardless. He's, like I say, we saw what was needed and what happened, and sometimes we're grinding the results out in the other games. Nicking, if the 0-0 was the 0-0, then so be it. And then getting the results that they needed in the other games. There's all different ways of doing it, and he's got those different tools on his bench that he can call to. But obviously he wants his starting 11 to go out and blow teams out of the water. He believes in that, but you've got to be able to have in-game management.
Because I don't know what you think, Crook, but I did the Brazil versus Norway game. I thought Norway were quite slow and conservative, and I know a lot of that was down to the heat that was in New York, that there was very humid or whatever.
Well, it'd be the
I
same
also
in
think
Miami.
they would. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be 33 degrees. So they're going to try and slow the game down, because as they did with Brazil, they want to deny them possession. But I think England actually probably might benefit from that as well, because they're very quick in transition.
Yeah.
They've got people who are powerful runners. I don't know what you think, if that's sort of like all part of the plan. They'll actually, Norway could play into England's hands.
Yeah, well, they will slow the game down because they're good enough to do it. That's often how they play. They obviously have that that wild card and trump card in Erling Haaland, but they're going to make it as difficult as they possibly can. I don't think it's going to be, we're at the quarterfinal, we're at a real level here, so they believe they've got the weapons on the counter attack and in attack to hurt England. They'll believe that, of course they will. They've got proof. They've got Erling Haaland's played against nearly every single one in that team, and done well against them. So they're not going to have any fear factor when it comes to using him to score goals. But yeah, it'll be a cagey affair. It's not going to be free flowing. They're going to feel each other out, and they earn the right to do that with a 120-minute game and the threat of penalties. And neither team being completely standout in the tournament, they earn the right to feel each other out. But we all know these games only need one goal, and then it all turns to chaos.
Obviously, no Jordan Henderson available in terms of being on the pitch after that freak injury in the celebrations, but he has stayed as part of the camp, and he's still got a big role to play in that dressing room, Joe, hasn't he?
Yeah, of course he has. It goes without saying. It's the family feel that becomes during a tournament, and mine never went that as deep as these guys in terms of days and numbers. But like, there's no way you're getting anyone out of there. Not a chance. Whether it's a suspension, whether it's a 5-day game suspension, no chance of playing, you're not leaving. That's the feel in that tournament. And I know it'll probably seem like Jordan Henderson's got a different role to play, but I promise you it would be the same with any of those lads. If they can physically be there, and obviously you can, it's a broken wrist, get it fixed and get it in a cast, and then go out and be a part of the squad, because they need every single one of everyone, backroom staff included, families, friends, us at home. We need to all be together to help this team get over the line.
Of course, it is a knockout game, so you have to think about penalties. England have been quite well prepared in penalty shootouts over the course of the last few years, and we know that there's a specific process that the FA have developed, a system which the lads were really comfortable with, and Thomas Tuchel has kept it going from the Southgate era. But some of the penalty shootouts that we've seen so far in this tournament have been nothing short of woeful. We've seen a lot of misses, haven't we? I mean, what's that? Tell me, is that because goalkeepers are now so brilliant that they put goal scorers off? What's the secret behind it? What's the reason behind it, do you think?
I think the goalkeeping level's high. I think the pressure's really, really high. I think the ball, it's a slight factor, but it's difficult to control. You'll find that people, when they do decide to go high, they're not having an awful lot of control over it. Seen a lot going over the bar. But that's not an excuse, and none of these guys will be looking for me to make an excuse. The ones who've missed the penalties or had them saved. I thought the save last night was excellent. Obviously, Davinson Sanchez was a fraction away from being a perfect penalty. Kanji, just once you go middle and high, or in those corners and high, I think there's a little bit of a heart and mouth moment. But there's a technique behind it, and the boys, every single one of those players are more than good enough. But ultimately, when you get on that stage, it's the fractions that make the difference, and a few of them have fell the wrong side of it.
Good. Joe, listen, I'm a little bit nervous about the game, but I'm sure once I get down into Miami, I'll be all sort of relaxed and feeling as if I'm, getting into the sort of South Beach culture. That will get me a little bit sort of calmer. And then by the time the game kicks off, I'll be fine. And I almost have Joe Hart Zen. And if I need any help, I'll just put this back in my ears and the podcast, and I'll be able to be calm going into the match, because you seem pretty confident.
Sam, I know you're working it, but and obviously we look up to the England footballers and we all want to be them, but just take it as an absolute privilege of what you're doing and bringing it back to us. We're with you all the way. It's an amazing moment. Your support, the way you vocalize it, the way everything makes a massive difference. So trust in the boys, trust in their preparation, trust they're doing absolutely everything they possibly can to achieve greatness, and you'll have a great time.
Mate, I'm really looking forward to it, and I treat it with care, and I absolutely love doing it, and it is a massive privilege, and I can't believe we get to do another World Cup quarter-final with England, which is great. Let's just hope it's a successful one. Joe, thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Nice one, gents.
My favourite thing about that interview is that Joe Hart is just so calm. The rest of us are sort of like bubbling up with emotion. Yeah, we're like, oh my God, it's a World Cup quarterfinal. And I'm obviously now got to go into work mode. So I have to put all that, because on Sunday, it was so different, wasn't it? Not being in work mode, being in fan mode, and then going back into work mode now. You've got to sort of calm yourself down again. It's like, okay, I've got to get on with it properly. But listen, he was great. And it just gives you a little window into what it's like to be a professional athlete in this era, because he's only just retired last couple of years. And I think you can see the difference between him and some of the other guests that we've had on that have, put their sort of their career a bit further behind them.
I think also he's clearly still got links in the England camp, so he's right across what is happening day in, day out down in Kansas City, and obviously when they're traveling between games. And it sounds like Thomas Tuchel has a very harmonious dressing room, which can only be positive. We're gonna win, Sam. I'm more confident about this game than I was about Mexico, because I feel like, as I've said to you before, Norway have had their moment. They had it in New Jersey. You commentated the game. They put out the 5-time world champions. The celebrations at the end were brilliant. Now let the big boys take over, lads. All right.
They're rowing in the right direction, but England are going to try and sink the Vikings this weekend. I think they will do it as well. I'm pretty confident. And the reason I'm pretty confident is because I can just see the fire in the eyes of this brotherhood, as Thomas Tuchel talks about. By the way, the John Stones shoulder thing, that made me laugh in the dressing room after the game. I think that just shows the sort of level of banter and unity that the boys have got as well. So fingers crossed, good luck, and let's hope it works. Let's get the viewpoint from a couple of other different sources now. Dean Smith is the Charlotte FC head coach. He's going to join us to talk not only about England and Ollie Watkins and Ezri Konsa, players that he's managed, a little bit later on. But first of all, let's speak to David Seaman, the goalie, the man who was in between the sticks back in 2002 and 1998 for England at the World Cup. The goalie, as we call him, because he is an unbelievable ambassador for England and for Arsenal, and he was one of the world's best, if not the world's best goalkeeper back in the day. First of all, though, before that, I want to just say thank you to our supporters, Star Sports. They are best priced England throughout the course of the tournament. They're the UK's leading independent bookmaker, and you can find them at starsports.bet. It's over 18s only, and if you do want gambling advice, it's begambleaware.org. So this week sees England take on Norway in the Miami Hard Rock Stadium, and can't wait for it, World Cup quarter-final. So we thought we'd put together a big bumper preview episode and get all sorts of different views about what to expect going forward. A man who's played in World Cup quarter-finals for England, played at World Cups for the Three Lions, has won serial titles, Premier Leagues, FA Cups, and everything in between, is the one and only, the great David Seaman, the goalie, as he is known in our circles. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. It's a bit warm here, by the way. I know it might be hot in Miami when they play, but it's hot here in England.
Do you know what, though? The weird thing about that is that it's not actually that hot now. So we're sitting here. I'm actually in Brooklyn a couple of days before the big kickoff. But actually, it's been quite tepid, and I've been getting pictures from back home, and everybody else is sunbathing. I feel like we sort of switched roles somehow. What's going on here?
Yeah,
hopefully
nice.
it won't be too hot on Saturday night, because that does affect everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, but everybody's talking about that it will be. But what time's kickoff? It's
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. So what's that? 10 o'clock here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it won't be too bad. The only thing you've got to dodge. Yeah, the only thing you've got to dodge there is the old thunderstorms in Miami, isn't it?
Oh,
that's
dear, we can't do another. We can't do another weather delay. I mean, we had one of those, obviously, with Mexico, and everyone was waiting for ages, obviously, for the game. What would it be like in a dressing room? I don't suppose you've ever experienced that, right? Okay, waiting around for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I experienced a delay. I think we were playing at Villa. And then a parachutist came in and got tangled up in the stadium and fell down and injured himself. So that was delayed. I think that was a delay to the second half, though. Not too sure. But it's strange, and especially with the game against Mexico, where everything's geared towards the kickoff time. As in like eating your food 3 hours before. So that you get prime efficiency out of the food that you've eaten, and then all of a sudden it's delayed an hour. So then that starts to affect certain things. But other than that, I've not really had a massive delay that I can think of.
Jordan Pickford obviously had to keep his concentration through that period. You obviously watched that Mexico game. What did you think of his performance? Because I must admit, I thought he was absolutely fantastic.
Honestly, I thought it was his best performance for England. Not just his saves. His saves were great. They were executed perfectly. They weren't really hard saves, but the way that he dominated his box is something that I've not seen him do like that before, and especially under that pressure. we all know Jordan, we know his style, but what he was doing against Mexico was so good. It's so great for the defense, when he's coming out and punching it clear, and he was getting a lot of distance on his punches as well. There was some times where he was out jumping Dan Burn, and punching it away and things, So it was a fantastic performance from him. It was a great performance from the lads. The defensive display that they put out there was second to none.
Let's talk about Saturday then, because on Saturday, Jordan Pickford overtakes Peter Shilton to become England's record appearance maker at World Cups on his own out in front. You played with a fair few England defenders, greats. You were an England goalkeeper yourself for over a decade. Just how big a deal is that for Jordan? And do you think that he actually gets the credit he deserves?
It is a big deal, because to become a record breaker is always a big deal. To take over from someone like Schultz, Schultz was around forever, and he got that amount of caps. But even then, though, Sam, he was swapping with Ray Clements, weren't he? And Ray got over 60 caps, so it just shows you the standard that Schultz set. But now with Jordan, now he's going to overtake him. It's a fantastic achievement, and every time he's turned up for a tournament, he's been brilliant for England. So to do that, it's perfect. It's a great achievement for him, and I want it to lead to something. Do you know what I mean? I want it to lead to us winning something, because he's been so close. And I've always said that I want to be around when England wins something, because it's going to be one hell of a party. And we deserve it. We've been close so many times now. A bit like with Arsenal, finishing second 3 seasons on the trot and then winning it. It's a little bit like that. You get that sort of feeling about it. We've been so close, semi-finals, finals. It's just that next step. And, and the second part of your question about is he underrated? Definitely underrated. Even getting a lot of stick, before the tournament started from certain pundits, and I hate that. I had that done to me a few times, and it's not nice. You're preparing to go play into a tournament with your country for England, and then people are having a go at you, and it's, there's things like that you don't forget.
Yeah. Can I ask you about how you would be dealing with Erling Haaland? Because I was in the MetLife on Sunday, and the guy obviously out jumps Gabriel and gets the first header. Okay, I don't actually think there's much you could do about that. But the shot from the edge of the penalty area that almost doesn't come out of nothing, but it comes from a long way, so accurate with his finishing. He hardly touched the ball for the rest of the 90 minutes, but 2 deadly interventions. As a goalkeeper, how do you deal with that?
You just have to make sure that when the ball is near him or around him, that you're ready. There's not a lot you can do about it, apart from just waiting. His shot from outside the box came through a defender's leg, which makes it really hard. And I know I'm talking in goalkeeping here, but the pace of that ball is ridiculous. It is so fast. It's faster than anything that I've seen. I've trained with it. I did soccer aid, obviously, and we trained with it. And when you hit it, it travels so fast.
This is the Trionder ball that they're using at the World Cup you're talking about here. You think it moves faster?
Yeah, it definitely moves faster. There's no doubt about it. And you see, when you see the goalkeepers taking goal kicks, look how far they're hitting it. Like it's going so far and so fast. But FIFA always do this. They always do this before a tournament. They bring out this like super mega ball that's like nothing to do for goalkeepers. It's all about strikers and goals, and and that's what we saw. We saw it early actually with the goal that Jordan let in from outside the box. I felt that because he got a hand to it as well, but I think the pace of it deceived him. Then we saw another one when who was it scored? I think it was Mbappe when he hit one from outside the box as well, and the goalkeeper it just about got fingertips to it. But it's the pace of it that's doing the goalkeepers. So but he'll be all right, and just like make sure he's so. Haaland's a special player, and he's not just a special player, he's an aggressive player, so, the defenders have got to be on their game, and even someone like that knows him really, really well, like Gabriel, even then, he still got caught out, so sometimes you just have to think, well, yeah, he's a good player, he's going to do things differently.
Talk to me about, you said the desire for you was to see England do something, win something, because the party would be mega. Talk to me about what it's like to be in camp when there is quite a high degree of expectations. 2002, you were in a team which was fantastic. There's a lot of great players in that, and people think that maybe we could have won that World Cup. Going back even 4 years, if we got past France in the quarterfinal, we might have won that. This is a key game for England, isn't it?
Yeah, you said that wrong. It was Argentina who got past.
Argentina, we got past in
98.
In 98, we got past 98. Sorry, 2018. Sorry, I was talking about France 4 years ago. And they, because
I was
think,
more interested in the ones that I played in.
yeah. But you know, in 98, I don't think everybody thought that we were a great team that would win the World Cup. We were a good team. We had Glenn Hoddle, blah, blah, blah. But I think in 2002, people look back at that and think we could have won that World Cup. I think 4 years ago, people look back and go, we could have won that World Cup. Sometimes you get to those sort of bottleneck games where it is a pick'em game, right? So it's a 50-50. And I think probably both those fall into that category. But this one, I think, is a little bit different, isn't it? There's more of an expectation to win this one. So you can almost see a path to the final. Is that fair?
It's fair, because when you look at it, you look at the Mexico game, which out of that and you play Norway, that's going to be the harder game, and we dealt with that quite well. The Norway game, like you say, there's a lot of expectation, because we are better than Norway. There's no doubt about it. Man to man, apart from obviously strikerish, but then we've got Kane. So who would you rather choose? That is a tough decision, by the way. That's like Bergkamp or Henry. So it's the expectation will be for us to win, but the lads won't be thinking like that. That's an outside pressure that the lads can deal with in their way. They don't have to get involved in that. They have to go out and play. And we play our game. We play well. We win.
As simple as that. It sounds a lot more simple when you say it.
It is, though. When you look at it, man for man, we're better. Yeah, and then obviously that will take us on to what looks like going to be an Argentinian, semi-final. And there's a lot of I want to say unfinished business there, but there was a bit of unfinished business. Then we got them in 2002 when we beat them 1-0.
Yeah, that was Beckham, wasn't it? Red shirt. Was it red shirt in St Etienne and
undercover
red card in St Etienne, red shirt in Korea and Japan. And he scored that fantastic goal. Was that Pochettino who gave away the penalty? It was, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it could be actually. Yeah,
I think it was. And he thought that Michael Owen dived, didn't he? And he was furious about it.
I'll tell you what, though, Sam, about talking about like revenge and all that sort of stuff. When they beat us on penalties in '98, we were in the car park, in the coach park, waiting to get on the team bus, and obviously we were out, and we were with our families and friends and that, and the Argentinian bus was parked next to ours, and their players got on it, and oh my God, they started dancing and singing and banging on the windows and all sorts right in front of us. We were like, oh my God. So obviously we did exactly the same to them in 2002.
Brilliant. Well, let's hope that this team get the chance to do it again in a couple of weeks' time. That is for sure. Listen, I don't know where you're watching the quarterfinals, but I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you are correct and that England get through. And let's all have our fingers crossed that we have that moment that we all very much crave. Thank you very much, superstar goalie David Seaman. Well, we are double stacked for guests today on the Inside Channel. Why wouldn't we be? It's the quarterfinal stage in England to take on Norway in Miami. You might have noticed that the background behind me has changed. Well, that's because if you're watching on YouTube, I've moved from the comfort of the Brooklyn Hotel to the LaGuardia Departure Lounge. I'm just about to get on my plane to Miami. If you're listening on Spotify, or if you're listening anywhere else you get your podcast, a big hello to you as well. Thank you very much for supporting the podcast as well as the YouTube show. Lots of quarterfinals to get stuck into. France-Morocco kicks us off on Thursday night in Boston. It's the rematch that no one in Morocco has forgotten. It's absolutely massive, this, because they want revenge for the 2022 semi-final, don't they? So Morocco getting France again. What should France expect when they come up against, one of the best teams in Africa?
Yeah, you've been saying all the way along that you think this is going to be a significant test for Didier Deschamps' side, the World Cup favourites. Obviously didn't blow Paraguay away as maybe we expected them to, but I'm not overly concerned by that. You've mentioned it when it comes to England, and the heat of Miami could impact their performance. I think it certainly impacted the French against Paraguay, the hot and humid conditions. But just looking at the head-to-head record, you've obviously mentioned the most recent game, that World Cup semi-final. This is going to be the 7th meeting between France and Morocco. 4 wins for France, 2 draws. So Morocco have never beaten Le Bleu. I expect that run to continue. It won't be easy. They're going to have to defend well because Morocco have got players who can hit them on the counter-attack. But I just think that class at the top end of the pitch, Mbappe, who for me is still the favourite for the Golden Boot, Dembele, Elise, Barcola, Doué, they've got the weapons to come through this game. And if they do, I would then expect them to go on and beat Spain in the semi-final. I still can't envisage a World Cup final here in New Jersey without France in it.
When was the last time Morocco lost? Can you remember?
Go on, you tell me. You'll have that stat.
They haven't lost in any of their last 34 games in normal time. And let me just bring this to you as well. They've never, ever lost to France inside 90 minutes in a competitive game. So I think this is going to be incredibly tight. There's some excellent players in that Morocco team. Bouhaddi has been the standout.
Yeah.
Brahim Diaz has turned up as well. And although France have been absolutely excellent, they've scored 17 goals, they've conceded just 3. They've won all 6 of their games at this tournament so far. I do think that this is the first time they've run into a side that are in their wheelhouse. They're in their zone. They're not at the same level as France, but they're a team that can cause you serious issues, without doubt. This is a team that finished in the 4th position back in 2022. This is a team that got to the African Cup of Nations final, took Senegal all the way. There was a lot of controversy in that final. This is a very, very good team, and they're a different team as well to the side that France came up against 4 years ago. They enjoy a lot more possession of the football too, and I think there'll be a real handful,
And it's interesting you mentioned Bouhaddi, who obviously has got a lot of suitors across Europe, Arsenal among them. I think that midfield area is quite important because if you're looking for weaknesses in this French team, that probably is where it is. So I think Bouhaddi has to have the game of his life. If he does that, they've got a chance. But I still think it might go extra time. It might even go penalties. I still think ultimately France prevail.
Well, he's only in nappies, isn't he, Bouhaddi? So, I mean, it probably will be the biggest game of his life so far, bearing in mind he's about 12 and a half. That's in Foxborough on Thursday night. We switch over to Los Angeles on Friday for Spain against Belgium. And it is the tournament's meanest defence that Romelu Lukaku and his pals are going to try and crack open. To be fair, they've cracked open most defence. They've scored 7 goals in the last 2 games. And actually, in one of them, they barely had a kick for about 85 minutes.
Yeah, I still don't know what to make of this Belgian team because they should be on the plane home already. They should have lost to Senegal. Obviously cost you in the tipping competition. A big mistake from the Senegalese goalkeeper that really...
He's not on my Christmas card list, that fella.
that really turned the tables there. And then USA were poor, weren't they? I don't know if it was all the off-the-field noise, but Belgium didn't have to work very hard to put them to the sword 4-1. This is going to be a huge step up, I think, in terms of opposition. And I still think Spain have got the legs on Belgium. This is an ageing Belgium team. There's a lot of good runners. There's a lot of young players in this Spanish side. They're going to have too much. I think they'll win the game, and I think they'll win it in 90 minutes. And I think your mate or your Farble will probably come to the fore again after missing an absolute sitter in that game against Portugal.
They got through, didn't they? But he did miss a big chance, and I was really excited about the fact 5 goals puts him in the bracket, doesn't he? And it was a big price, by the way, for the Golden Boot, bigger than any of the ones that you tipped up. 14-1, massive price. But, he's still got a few games, whereas some of the others might not have a few games. You never know.
Very true.
I thought that against Portugal, they had a lot of the ball, but they weren't at their very best. I think they'll have a lot of the ball in this game. If they move it quickly, they'll create opportunities. I'm not entirely convinced about that Belgium defence, bearing in mind they conceded 2 goals against Senegal, and then conceded one against the United States, who were just completely off it, miles off it. We'll talk about that with Dean Smith very shortly. But they are letting in goals every single match. And if you're letting in goals against New Zealand, you're going to let in goals against Spain. Mikel Merino's goal was timely. I love him. I love the fact that he is so athletic and vibrant, comes to the fore right at the very end of matches. He's always going to the very conclusion of a game. And he's did the same celebration. It's a family sort of celebration that he does when he runs around the corner flag. His dad used to do it when he played many years ago. But he scored the winner against Germany in the quarterfinal of the Euros, and he scored that big goal against Portugal very, very late on in the last 16 here. I wonder if he's still got something to say going forward as well. Do you think that Spanish defence is their biggest asset, though, the fact that they haven't conceded yet? Unai Simon's made some brilliant saves as well.
Well, you always say defence wins trophies. So I think it gives them a huge opportunity. I wasn't blown away with their performance against Portugal. I thought they were quite wasteful in the first half and then toiled a bit in the second. But they ultimately got the job done, thanks mainly to that back line, as you say, because they didn't afford Portugal too many opportunities. Will they concede here? I think they might keep another clean sheet. You know, I know Belgium have got goals, but I can see Spain grinding out another victory to 0, and then they'll concede their first goals of the tournament when they go out to France in the semis.
And Belgium have scored in every single knockout game, but also conceded in each of their last 3. Spain, 5 games, 5 clean sheets. Listen, I've got my fingers crossed. I still think they've got a great chance of getting to the World Cup final. Listen, I don't mind going around Times Square, by the way, in my little Star Sports boxer shorts if England win the World Cup. If England win the World Cup, I don't care. In fact, I'll do it voluntarily. In fact, I'll probably both do it voluntarily with a couple of bottles of champagne in our hand. However, if England don't make it, then I would like Spain to win the World Cup, mainly because it means I beat you, which would be great. We'll do a little bit on Argentina and Switzerland, which is Saturday night, overnight into Sunday morning back in the UK in Kansas very shortly. But first of all, let's speak to another guest, another brilliant guest, a man who works in the MLS, works at Charlotte in the great state of North Carolina. He is the head coach of that local MLS team. His name is Dean Smith. You remember him from Walsall, from Brentford, and latterly from Aston Villa, and he is an absolute gem. Well, it's our big pumper preview to the quarterfinals of the World Cup, and we are guests galore, so why not get into another one? The Charlotte FC head coach, the MLS, former Aston Villa and Brentford boss, Dean Smith, is with us. Hi, Dean.
Hi, Sam. Hi, Alex. You okay?
Yeah, we're very good, thank you. Look, we've got to talk about some of the players that are in the England squad that you know very well. Ollie Watkins, Ezri Konsa, players that you've signed and worked with in the Premier League in just a moment. But let's start by talking about the United States of America and the impact of the tournament, because, you know, Monday night, bit of a disappointment going out of the World Cup. They just won a knockout game against Bosnia for the first time since 2002. As a man who's been living and working in American football, how does the country score the tournament out of 10? What's the impact been?
I think the impact at the moment, because of last night's result, is probably a 6 at the moment. I think they wanted to go deep in. If they'd have got to the quarterfinals, I think everybody in the country, it would have said that this tournament could have been transformational for them. You know, for the game in general, it has definitely caught the imagination. But I think they wanted to get to that last 8.
How do you think the perception of Mauricio Pochettino will be now? Because I think coming into the tournament, speaking to a lot of US soccer fans, they weren't entirely convinced. Then obviously they had that brilliant start and got into the round of 16, and now they've been humbled by Belgium. So where will his stop be, do you think, amongst the American public?
I think everybody will still look at it, and the way they started the tournament, they flew out the traps really quickly. Played really well in that first game and took out Paraguay, I think, really easily. Went on to beat Germany, of course. They changed the team a lot for the last game and maybe lost a little bit of momentum in that game. But I think he'll still be seen with a lot of positivity. They're disappointed at the moment, obviously, because they haven't gone as far as they would. I personally think they got both their choices right with the men's and the women's coaches. I think Emma's done brilliant with the women there, and I think Potter has showed, just with that experienced manager, that they can, try and go deep into tournaments. But it's difficult when you're coming up against elite players, and Belgium have got elite players.
Yeah, I mean, and also if we put it in context, if you look at the way the US have performed over the course of the last couple of years, actually you could argue they probably overachieved, especially in those first few games. I think they surprised everyone with the zip and the connection and the speed with which they played in that Paraguay game in particular. They didn't really have that in the game against Belgium. Did they freeze? What did they just meet a better side? What was your assessment of it as a coach from the outside looking in?
I thought they came up against a better team. I think you looked at Tillemans and Arna, who unfortunately had to leave the game. I thought they were really, really good in that first 15 minutes. Didn't give the Americans needed to get ahead of steam up, and I don't think they got the chance to get ahead of steam up. I think the Belgians kept the ball really well. They played in the Americans' half and really made it difficult. They got a sniff in the second half, I felt, 2-1. I thought they started the second half really well, changed a little bit of their structure, and were played in the Belgium half, but then a mistake then I think cost them the game then at that stage.
What about the whole situation with Flo Balogun and the president getting involved to get his suspension lifted? It turned the way that I viewed the game. I wanted the US to qualify until all that happened, and I was firmly in the Belgian camp last night. I think a lot of neutral fans felt the same. Do you think it's damaged the integrity of the sport in this country?
I don't think it's damaged the integrity. I mean, every American I spoke to regarding that situation was that they wanted Balogun to play. So if there was a pathway to get him involved, I don't think many of them wanted the president to get involved. They just wanted US soccer to get involved. So, and you can't blame the lads. You can't blame, if it was the FA and they were given a channel that was open to them to try and get a playback, you'd try and do that. Was it right? No. A red card has always been a red card, and it stands by that. And the fact that they haven't actually overturned the decision, they've just suspended it, was a telling act, I think.
Yeah. Talking of telling acts, the legacy of this tournament, where does soccer, football in the US go after this? I mean, you work in Charlotte. It wasn't a host city. There were Atlanta and Miami's probably the closest two cities to that in terms of getting to see matches. But certainly Charlotte is a football town. We've both spent time there as well. Are you expecting more kids, more season tickets, more interest in the MLS? Because the people might not know that the season's shifting, isn't it?
Yeah, the season's shifting. So we finished this season in November, and then next season we're having they're calling it a sprint season. So it's only going to run till May, and then they're going to marry up and become like the European calendar, and it needs to. I was a big advocate for it. I just feel if the MLS wants to be competing with some of the biggest leagues and wants to be one of the biggest leagues, then it has to be in the same market. And at the moment it's not in the same market, just in terms of recruiting good players as well. I think it'll do a hell of a lot for the country having the World Cup here. People seeing the different cultures of supporters and how it's a tradition football, for the countries that have visited America, and we need them. They're catching up in terms of academies, kids playing football, because they've got bigger sports in terms of the country. American football, baseball, basketball are probably bigger sports, but it's certainly catching up. I can only speak for myself. In this city at Charlotte, it's absolutely a really big football soccer city now. And it's growing all the time, and the popularity, I think, will continue to grow. I think they like the 90 minutes. They've tried to get 4 quarters in, I think, in the World Cup, but they like the 90 minutes rather than the 3 or 4 hours of games that they can have.
And it was a big step for you moving away from English football to take this plunge into the MLS. But just looking at you there, you look right at home. I take it you have absolutely no regrets about that decision.
No, not at all. I wasn't actually looking to go abroad at the time, but an opportunity came up, and I came to visit the place. The facilities alone are right up there with Premier League teams. Most of the Scotland team, Scotland trained at our training facility while they were here. Andy Robertson said to me that you might have half the Scottish team hiding in lockers wanting to stay here. They enjoyed it that much. You've got the weather. You can go to a restaurant in town and not get mithered. People let you go on your way as well. So there's a lot of pluses to it, and I'm really enjoying it.
And you've done really well there. And I know that people back in the United Kingdom don't necessarily follow the MLS closely, but you're very well thought of in Charlotte. You've just signed a new contract. I think record points total, was it, last season?
Yeah, last season. I mean, and that was the other thing that probably enticed me to the job. It was a club that was only like 2.5 years old. It's only 4.5 years old now. So, I'm helping to build a legacy, build a club. And it's been quite enjoyable trying to do that with the general manager, Zoran Kaneta, and the owner, Dave Tepper, who also owns the NFL team, the Panthers. He's very ambitious on what he wants to do.
And Sam mentioned at the top of the interview, two of your former players out here for England at the World Cup. We've not seen much of Ollie Watkins so far, but Ezri Konsa, particularly with the issues that England have had at right back, I think has become one of Thomas Tuchel's key men. What have you made of his tournament?
Yeah, I think he's had a good tournament. I mean, there was a lot made, I think, of England defensively. I think I'm right in saying they're top of XG, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea XG, but it just shows how well England have been doing. They don't give too many big chances away. 1v1 defending, Ezri's up there with the best. Certainly one of the best I've worked with. There weren't too many people who would like to face him up 1v1. I went to the Panama game and met up with both of them after the game, which was great to see them both. Ollie got on the pitch as well in that game, and I think his time may still be to come, Ollie. Get off the bench and go and stretch the line and maybe do what he done against Holland in the Euros. But great to see some players that you've worked with on the pitch and doing so well.
And you're going to go down to Miami, aren't you, and watch that quarterfinal? Are you looking forward to that? Do you think England will get on well against Norway?
Yeah, I'm flying down on Friday, so I'm looking forward to going and watching the game. I think it'll be a good test for England. They'll know a lot about Norway, probably more than they knew about Congo, maybe. So yeah, you've got to deal with the threat, of Ødegaard and the big centre forward who just keeps banging in goals left, right, and centre. But it'd be interesting because Ezri would have played against him an awful lot, and Goyi trains with him every day. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. Of course, then if you've got Ezri at right back, then you may have Goyi and John Stones, who both know him very well.
It just dawned on me this morning, we're down to one game a day after today, and there's a few days where we've got no football at all, which is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, we're not happy about that.
I think tomorrow there's no game, is there?
Yeah.
No. Luckily, I'm flying tomorrow, so I've got some time on the plane on my own. I'm going to catch up on a box set, but it is annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, but it showed her at the business end of the tournament, and I'm going to put you on the spot, Dean. Name the two finalists.
Oh, I think France will get to the final. I think they're the standout team, what I've seen so far. I don't know the other one. England have got a good chance, as good chance as anybody. I think Argentina and Colombia are the other two teams who I think are strong. If they both get through today, then that would be an interesting quarter-final for sure.
Brilliant, Dean. Thank you very much. We'll try and come and see you in Queen City and come and have a look at Charlotte in the not too distant future. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Appreciate it, mate. Well, astute listeners might have heard there that I suggested during that interview that it was possible that Colombia might make the semi-finals. However, that interview was recorded before yesterday's absolute torrid Switzerland 0, Colombia 0. By the way, has anyone managed to catch Manuel Akanji's penalty yet? It was like a home run.
Why do these nations keep sending defenders up to take penalties? What's happened to all the forward players?
I felt sorry for Akanji, by the way, because Akanji's a really intelligent guy, one of the most intelligent guys that you'll meet. You know, if you said to him, what's 368 times 422, he'd give you the answer off the top of the bat very, very quickly. He's a very clever boy. He's actually a brilliant footballer as well. And I thought the way that he seamlessly transited into that Manchester City team was excellent a couple of years ago. But he's missed the penalty against England in Euro 2024. I think he was third up for Switzerland. Obviously, it don't matter now because they got through. But, I mean, it went so high. Like, I mean, I think Joe Hart sort of said it was something to do with the ball, and David Seaman has said that ball does fly. So I just wonder whether or not you have to be very careful when you're taking penalties to make sure you keep it low. Switzerland are through, and I'm really pleased for Switzerland because Switzerland have had what you would call a golden generation for a number of years. A lot of players that have stayed together, have done really well in youth tournaments, and have slowly progressed into the first team. They're coming towards the end of that generation now. Ricardo Rodriguez, Granit Xhaka, they've all been around a very, very long time. They played a lot of games together. Akanji is part of that as well. And the idea that they don't get to a significant stage of the World Cup or the European Championship would have been rather disappointed. The fact that they've got to a quarter-final for the first time since 1958, I think is excellent for Murat Yakin, who's done an absolutely brilliant job there. They've ground out clean sheets against Algeria and Colombia. Will they try to bore their way past Messi and co?
Yeah, they might. And I think they might be able to do it, you know, in terms of taking Argentina to the well anyway. Argentina back-to-back 3-2 wins. Looked like they were crashing out against Egypt. Obviously, a lot of controversy about the disallowed Egyptian goal. And they don't look bulletproof. Far from it, Argentina. And if Switzerland can defend well, I think they've got a chance, certainly, of going to extra time and maybe even getting themselves another penalty shootout.
And the last time that these two met at a World Cup 2014, the one team Messi created more chances against than anyone in his career was Switzerland, 9 in a single game, which was an amazing return. And he's in absolutely sensational form. I think this will be a very attritional match.
Yeah.
But I think Messi will win it. One moment of magic, because he's just written in the stars. And if he doesn't, probably someone will give him a penalty so that he can do it anyway. I mean, far be it from me to suggest that there was any outside interference in this World Cup from anyone. However, you know, it is remarkable, isn't it, that when Egypt were almost 2-0 up, all of a sudden that a goal was ruled out for a foul that happened in 1967.
Very good. It does mean, if our predictions go according to plan, my predictions anyway, because I know you're hoping that Morocco do U-turn, we are going to get the 4 seeds in the semi-finals, aren't we?
Which is what they wanted, which is why for the first time ever it's been seeded. I mean, look, it's great for England, isn't it? You know, they've had a brilliant run so far to the quarterfinal. Let's hope they get to the semi-final, beat Norway. Well, all fingers crossed about that. You know, it would be an amazing achievement. And then you never know what can happen. If you get to the semi-finals of a major tournament, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And we can all start believing, getting super excited.
And can I just say, I was in the minority yesterday with you and the rest of the TalkSport team. You all wanted Egypt to win. I was the only one cheering for the Argentine comeback.
I know.
Partly because I was in amongst them when they won the World Cup 4 years ago.
Because you're going to adopt them if they win the World Cup. You'll probably be wearing an Argentina shirt to go with your Germany shirt that you were wearing earlier in the tournament.
I've picked up a few Argentinian friends along my travels at various World Cups. But also, and this is the key point, and I'm going to stand by this, and you think I'm mad.
Yes, I do.
It will mean more getting to a World Cup final.
It won't.
Beating Messi and beating Argentina than if you were playing Egypt or Switzerland. It will.
I won't care.
We have a score to settle. Back to France 98.
I won't care. It will not. Listen, they had a score to settle in 2002 when they beat them in the group stages.
Doesn't count.
Listen, it'll be great and it'll be wonderful, and we'll be cheering it and we'll massively enjoy it if it happens. But it won't change my perspective. If England win the World Cup, I don't care who they have had to beat to get to the final. In the final, they're going to have to beat France or Spain. That's enough for me. I'm happy to take that test. So if they win the World Cup, I don't care. They won in the Azteca, where no one ever wins. The first team to win there since 2013. They've done the hard yards. That's fine by me. They had Croatia first game. They've had to come through a couple of low blocks. I am not concerned about who they are playing. It will not damage their legacy if they only win the World Cup by beating Norway in the quarterfinals and Morocco only, or whatever, or Switzerland in the semi-final. I won't care about it. It's not going to bother me one jot. I think you're just being too, you know what you like. You like to make lists. You like to make lists of teams. Oh, well, we should get there because of this level of opposition. You actually said in the pub yesterday, what did you say? Oh, this is like a Gareth Southgate draw.
I did when Egypt were 2-0 up. I stand by it. It will be oh so sweet.
So disrespectful to Sir Gareth as well, by the way, because again, his achievements are underplayed. Getting to finals is amazing. Getting over the line will be off the scale. Just enjoy it. Just revel in it. This is a good moment. Be happy. Thomas Tuchel's smiling. We're smiling.
I'm smiling.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, isn't it? Right, bearing in mind that you've written them off twice and said they're going to win the World Cup twice as well, which is great. Talking of your brilliant tips, shall we move on to the tipping competition?
Yep.
Did I win again?
No.
Did I not? I think I did.
No, you didn't.
What did you have last time?
I had Spain to win in 90 minutes.
And didn't I have Spain to win and Morocco to win to 0?
No, you lost, mate.
What did I do? I can't remember. It was so long ago. You can't remember what I did either, can you?
No, but I remember you lost because I've seen the table.
Oh, Balogun to score any time. Yes, thank you, producer Adam.
It's a great effort, though, to try and claw yourself some points back. Well done.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, but listen, my tipping competition has been a lot more positive than yours up until this point, and I'm about to go ahead again here because I am going for Kylian Mbappe to score in the France-Morocco game, and it to be a draw at half-time. I think it's going to be really tight and cagey. I've already mentioned the statistics, no defeat in 34 games for Morocco. The two of them actually always have very cagey games, the revenge idea. So I'm going to go half-time draw, but Kylian Mbappe to score anytime during the match. So that's my tip for Thursday night's game. What are you going for?
I'm going to go Spain to qualify and Oyarzábal to score at any time.
Oh, again, sticking that neck out so far there, aren't you?
I'm just slowly reeling you back in. And then when we get to the semi-finals, I'm going to come out with a couple of big ones. I'm going to blow you out of the water.
Okay, let's see. By the way, starsports.bet is the place to be if you want to back England throughout the course of the tournament. Their best price on the boys throughout the course of the World Cup, whether that is outrights, golden boot, whatever, knockout games singly. They're the best place to get the top price. It's starsports.bet. It's over 18s only. Please gamble aware.org. Thank you very much for joining us live from LaGuardia Airport and from wherever you are in New York in your little apartment. Thank you very much, by the way, for keeping the camera tilted up at such an angle that we can't see the absolute hellhole mess, which is your flat. Because I went over there the other day to see you, and it was like a scene from Men Behaving Badly. You haven't cleaned up for 3 weeks, have you?
No. What do you expect from two blokes living on their own in an apartment in New York? We haven't got time to
ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You disgust me. You disgust me.
I might wash some towels today.
Yeah, could you have a shower as well, please? Right, I'll see. When are you coming to Miami?
Tomorrow night. Looking forward to it. South Beach, and then a little trip to the Everglades as well. We've got planned for Friday afternoon.
I'll see you then. Thank you very much. And we'll be back after the quarterfinals, hopefully with England through to yet another big semi-final. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you've got your fingers crossed. Be positive. Let's try and enjoy it all together over the weekend.